Hi Wendy, can you hear me okay? Let me know that I'm audible this evening. 4 have joined, that's good, nice start. John, good evening to you, sir. Hope you can stick around tonight. Let me know that I am audible. Oh, what a lovely day it's been. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Great, thanks John for that. I'm spilling my drink down my top as I speak. Not a problem, I do it every time. If I look a little dishevelled, don't worry too much. Derek, good evening. I've just been out painting all day, so I got back about 4:45 and started getting set up for the stream. So yeah, it's all good. Dear. How's Derek? Enjoying the sunny weather, I'm sure. Wendy, you okay? You sent me something through earlier. Was that meant you was out painting as well? Jeff, good evening to you. James, good evening to you too, sir. Yeah, I had a great day in Dungeness, painted too. In fact, I just put one up on the pledge on offer tonight. So one of the first ones I did today. I only managed 2 because we had a lot of catching up to do, as you do over a Swift libation that we all bought ourselves. It's quite good. It's the one and only picnic the Marsh Lookers have ever had. And for those of you who don't know who the Marsh Lookers are, we are a band of like-minded friends who several years ago started painting together every third Monday of the whatever it was, every third Monday, and we would pick somewhere and we would have a lovely meal and a lovely drink during the course of painting some pictures. But of course, with lockdown, this is the first time we've got together in 3 months, and it's the one and only picnic that we had. So there you go. Anyway, yes, let me have a look here. Michael, thank you. Good evening to you, sir. Eileen, good evening from, I can't even pronounce that. If somebody else is reading this chat line can pronounce that, I'm not even going to go there. But good evening. It sounds exotic, and I think it must be. So, Eileen, very, very welcome, and thank you for joining us. Okay, no time for painting. You've been sitting in the garden, Derek? Okay, no problems at all. Right, now then, before I get completely lost in tittle-tattle, as I said earlier to everyone, if I'm a little bit dishevelled, it is because I've been out painting all day and I haven't had a time other than get back, unload, clean my kit and get the stream set up. So I haven't had a chance really to refresh and what have you. So you get me as I am, dirty fingers and all, it would seem. Right. Tonight we are painting, excuse me, clear my throat. James, good evening to you, sir. How are you? We are looking at a lily pond, and the lily pond is the one that is to be found at Great Dixter. Now I'm just going to move up and block myself out so I don't know what I'm going to be doing or seeing, but I do want to see this lily pad. Now why is that? I need to squash it down a little. Bear with me 2 seconds while I just play around with a bit of this here and reduce it down so I can see me. Won't go any further. I think that's about as good as it's going to get. Now it's decided to think about what it wants to do next. Bear with me, tech is always awful. Judy, good evening to you. What has gone on now? Oh no, don't want any of this. Okay, hopefully that was all I had to do with that. We will get going in a minute, people, and I can decide what the heck is going on with this stuff. Right, okay. Now I'm going to have to move that. I can't see everything that's going on. I don't know why my screen won't play ball tonight. Who have I missed? Ben, good evening to you. Eileen, good evening. Well, I was right in the fact, Eileen, that it was exotic. And thank you for taking the trouble to join us, and very, very welcome from Hawaii. Yeah, lovely. Ah, this made me feel all nice and hot and want to get back out in the sun again. I bet that's gorgeous. Right, I'm going to start off and let's get going. Now, I've cleaned my brushes. I have replenished my paint. Not that you can see it behind the photograph, but I assure you that the paint all through here is all refreshed. Luke, good evening to you. Nice to see you here. Sylvia, good evening to you too. I think I haven't missed anybody yet, but I'm bound to. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw, and the whole idea with this is to talk about, or really sort of paint this lovely centerpiece of this beautiful flower. Now I am by reputation not a flower painter. I don't do them. There's enough people out there that do a very good job of flowers, and I do not rank myself as one of them. But once in a while you just have to bite the bullet and paint a flower. And I wanted to paint this lovely lily in the pond of Great Digster. And yeah, I mean, the place was full of them, red ones, white ones, and I'm going to put that little one over here, which is just coming out. That could probably be, if anything, a little, does it want to be a bit big? I'm not too sure. I'm going to leave it like that for a minute, but that has highlighted that that one was a bit too big. So I'm going to bring that one down in shape and size down to here. And got a lovely little cone as it's pushing out of the water, ready to bud out and whatever it does. Whatever lilies do best when they're about to come into full flower. And you've got a beautiful, shortened, but beautiful reflection, which I do not need to lose. I need to keep that. And so here we have a whole raft of different leaves. And when I do the lilies, I simply create little discs and something like that, little elliptics. Now, one little thing when you're painting an elliptic, now this can happen and be good. Hi Teresa, good evening to you. Now when you're painting an elliptic, one thing that a lot of students or a lot of people, when they're drawing something, whether it be a bowl or a vase or whatever, if you think of a bowl or a vase, it is created equal on each side. So whatever the line coming down through the center will be, the item is the same one side as it is the other side. And so invariably that will need an elliptic, a top, a bottom, a waist, all these things. So a lot of people, they try drawing with their wrist firmly planted on the paper or the whatever they're doing, and they try to draw this shape, and they're never going to get an elliptic looking like an elliptic. One way to do that is I use my finger as a little brace to go round and round all over the place. I keep it so if I want to keep my level exactly the same, I can actually use that as a brace, okay, all the way around the paper, or in this case the painting surface. But what I can also do is I can make my brush go round in these elliptics. Now I can make them deeper elliptics, from anything from a full circle right the way to a very, very sharp elliptic like so. I'm actually not watching what I'm doing, I'm watching what you're seeing in the screen, which is quite interesting. But there you go. And the thing is that what I'm doing is I'm not resting here, I'm not relying on my wrist, I'm not relying on just my elbow. What I'm using is my shoulder, my elbow, and my wrist. I'm making all of them as 3-axis movement. And that gives me much more freedom, especially as we get older. It's a lot harder to get that free movement. So by doing this and allowing the rotation of all 3 parts of that body, you'll get the freest movement you can. So we can look at these great big dinner plates. There's one that sort of comes through here, and we can start doing that. And we can create our elliptics. Now I could have a little bit more fluid on the paint, which will help the drawing process a little easier. There is another one here, so we can create this one in here. And you can see what I'm doing. It doesn't matter if I go through another object or one close by. I'm just creating these beautiful little discs in my water surface, like so. And there's one through the back here. I'm not worried that it's gone through my plant. There's one that's through here. I'm not worried that this one overlaps this one, because one of these lines will disappear in favor of making one obviously sitting on top of another. And so we can carry on this process. We can put one over the back here, another one in here. But these two will disappear because the bigger one will be the dominant one, and it's sitting over the top of those. Okay, so that's just really where we're working with this. We can make them large or small, and wet or dirty or dying off, whatever you feel that we need. Now they're going to be, some of them are going to have little black areas of the water between them. So in here, what we can do, we have a suggested edge around here for this one, like so, and we can then just come in here with a little bit of darker umber, and that's what I'm using to paint with, is umber, and I can suggest the dark water now between these lilies. Going to come back in with some more umber and a little bit more of the liquid. Now, for those of you who normally buy supplies from me at the gallery, when it comes to oil paints and different bits and pieces, one of the items that I used to carry, and I say used, is Zest-It. Now the thing is that I tried to get a new order coming through of Zest-It for the gallery, and just for me as well, of course, not just for the gallery. And the company concerned has increased by substantial amounts the amount that you need to order to have it. So obviously the company has become even more successful of late, and good luck to them. But unfortunately it does mean to say that I can no longer supply it from that source. So I can, and I'm going to be talking to the SAA, who I deal with on a trade basis, as you all know. Just going to carry on making some little discs in here. Don't worry that I've gone through my flower. My flower will come back. But yes, what I was saying was that there's another little bud there. I missed that one completely. I'll put that in. I will be looking at the SAA. They do supply it if I can get it at the right price. It may cost you a few bob more. You won't pay any more than you would pay from the SAA, as well, you know. So from that point of view, bear with me, and I can see if I can get more supplies. But at the moment I can't, and so that's where we are with that one. Now these elliptics, as the pond will move away, will become not as round as they are in the foreground. They will become more obscure in shape like that, and they will become less. It's not so obvious at this point. In fact, they do look quite round in some of them, so we can actually just increase a few of them, make them a little rounder, and make this one just a little bigger. You can change the shapes and forms, but all we're doing is loads and loads of dinner plates, and it doesn't matter where we put them. We can change one laying over another, and we can leave one completely free of another one just by putting it in and leaving a little edge. And we can take them all the way back off to the page, off the page completely. A few that are sort of touching like so. You get the idea, I hope. And you can make lovely patterns. And they're all different colours, and I guess they're all the same. I think the smaller ones are very much young leaves that have just reached the surface. I'm getting a bit confused now what I've got here. I think we've got another one laying in here. I'm just going to re-establish that shape there. before I lose it out to this leaf. So we're going to put that one there, going to put a little one in there. Now I'm not worried at all at this stage if I'm not trying to count what's on here to be what's in the photograph that you're looking at. I'm not worried about that at all. I'm just simply trying to give you a lily pond based on this representation of one or part of one. So to me that's you know, I don't sort of keep at it and sort of go, there's one here, there's half of one there. They are what they are, and we are where we are. Right, I'm going to look at this flower, and I'm just going to try and re-establish some of the shape of this flower now. And it's got that lovely sharp leaves on them, they're beautiful. Now, I've got to be careful because here you see I'm getting a lot of umber. Now the umber is fine to draw with, no problem with that at all, but you're going to come unstuck when it comes to trying to paint this beautiful white leaves. So they're in little clusters. I'm noticing there's almost like 3, then a little space, and then there's some more here, and then there's a big shape at the back there, and another one here, and you've got bits and pieces of green and dark in between. Now I don't think that my plant, in actual fact, in fairness, is actually big enough. So I'm going to have to look at this. There's a relationship between here, okay, and down here and above. So let's just bring this up a little bit on the stem that's going into the water, and we've got that lovely little reflection there. And we got a bit of a dead petal laying down there, a dark one that's actually, we're seeing the underneath of it, and it's quite wide, it's quite a sort of spread shape. And then we've got this one coming in here. Now we take these out, 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to pop the tops in a sense, 2, 3. I'm just going to raise them up a little bit and make that plant a little bit bigger there, and another one in here. If you've got any questions, please ask away. Now then, the darker leaves produce red flower, and the paler leaves produce pink or white flowers. Okay, thanks so much for that, Judy. I wasn't aware. I'm not that great when it comes to these. John, Zestit is a trade name for a oil-based paint. What it basically is, you've got oil paint, and traditionally people have been using solvent-based products. In America, you get things like you get solvents to clean your brushes in, but they are odorless, thinners, things like that. But nonetheless, they are still solvents. Now, the thing about Zestit is that it is pure citrus oil in its purest form, and it does come to you with a citrus smell attached to it, but that is actually added. That is not its natural state. On its own, it has absolutely no smell at all. And so from that point of view, it's a really great product because you can use it in the home. It is safe to use. It's not sort of carcinogenic. It's not harmful to your skin. I wouldn't drink it, but it certainly really is a good product. And I was put onto it many years ago because for 30 odd years of painting I've been using solvents, and I couldn't even taste my food half the time. It really does affect you. So by coming across to Zestit, it took me a little while to get used to it, but absolutely stonking. There are loads of them out there. You don't need to keep buying all the different ingredients and buying Zestit, which is a mixer or something else. Just buy the brush cleaner, because you can mix it with anything you like to make something else. I'm losing people by the dozen here. I must be upsetting some people. So that's what Zestit is really about, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody. And the thing is that one lady who coined the name Zestit, which is Z-E-S-T-I-T, that company is her company, and she has the sole rights of bringing that product into the marketplace. And so if you go to any other companies such as Jackson's or any of these other trade companies that are selling it, they're getting it from her. And whereas for many years I've been dealing with them in a very happy way, I sort of order a couple of £100 worth a time for the studio for students to buy. But I can't do that anymore because I can't really thrash out over £500 a pop just to keep it sitting on the shelves. In fact, I just don't even have the room to store so many. There's a little bud pushing through there. I may put that in, may not. And let's just look at the bigger shapes down here. Now, I am not going to try and do these ripple lines in. They will come in when I paint the picture further on. I will take this one actually quite neatly off of the edge of the photo, and that looks like it makes it very big old leaf. And then we've got a nice big dinner plate right down in the foreground here, like so. Now I do need to make a little bit of a reflection because this here is reflected all the way through here to the very bottom of the piece of board or whatever it is I'm working on. Now this one doesn't appear to be as round, so I'm just going to suggest it goes off over there. There's that one there which we might just make a little different in shape, and there are several down here. Now these ones that are sitting down on this part here, I don't think I'll really want to put them in because the thing about those ones here, sorry, I got sidetracked. I was looking at a little comment from Luke. I'll get back to that in a second, Luke. I'm not quite sure what why your mum was excited because her water bat is filling up. So it must be raining there. That we could do with some of that here, I think. But yeah, so what I was saying was that this here, this area here is okay. We could put one in, say down the bottom here, just to stop people disappearing off the corner of the picture, and it just keeps them going round. But to put all three in there, I don't think there's a real big need for that. I might make that curved one at the bottom. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to come in and make this one actually the third one up. The one that's sitting about there, we will make it this one and just make this dark water here. If I feel that I want to put the edge of one in here, I can easily do that too. Not a big deal. Alright, so we've pretty much got our drawing done and we're ready to push on. So I'm going to clean off the palette and we will get cracking on some colour. Just looking at who's on and what's going on. I'll have a quick glug before I get cracking, if you don't mind. Good. We are gaining people, we are losing people. We're down to about 15. We had about 20 odd just now, but there you go. It's the way it is. I'm going to do my darks first. So I'm going to use some umber and some ultramarine blue together, and I'm just going to start looking at some of the gaps between. Actually did need to put a few more in. I'm just going to make a few discs up in here just to suggest a few more, maybe one that's overlapping, so we can come in and we can make these dark areas between each of these shapes initially, like so. It's very much easier, instead of trying to go over with a very dark shape and then trying to paint the light over the top, it will not work so well. So just come in and create the little dark passages, and you can refine any of the shapes much later on if you wish to, or as you feel the need to. Take that off there, take that around, down, make a little shape, take that on across, keep the dark going. This really needs to be very dark. So the blue and the brown with a little bit of blue bias to it will work very well. Just carrying on, blocking in. At this stage I'm not actually trying to paint detail, I'm merely trying to establish the scene and the colours that I'm going to need, and working from my darks working forward. A lot more paint though before we carry on. Okay, Tracy, sorry you can't comment. I don't know why that is, but hopefully you may rectify that further on. I'm going to come in here and just tap in a few suggested lights. Sorry, trying to save the light areas, that's what I meant to have said. Trying to work around and put all this sort of negative space in and just shape up one or two of these discs. And if I do lose the shape, I'm not overly worried. I can come straight back in on it. It's not a great loss. It's just nice and helps you a little bit more if you can try and save one or two of these marks, like so. Just go around, paint all that negative space in, like that. Into there, back out again. And don't forget, you can always rub back off. You can take a shape and you can move it. You can take it out. You can. There's so much you can do. Unfortunately, you can't do that with watercolor. Often we make mistakes. We wish we hadn't put something somewhere, but with watercolor, of course, we are unable to really take that out and start again. Here we do have that option. We can play around with these shapes. And you know, today I've been, as I said earlier, to Dungeness. That's for those of you who are in much sunnier places. Dungeness is a very, very unique area within the southeastern corner of the United Kingdom, and it's a wonderful desert of stone. It's a stone desert, and yeah, it is just absolutely fantastic, and that's where I've been today. But I have been painting, partly I went over there because of the flowers, a beautiful flower displays going on with things like Viper's Blue Gloss, Valerian, White Valerian I believe is another one that was there. Punchy colours with things like poppies, all sorts of things. I'm going to put a few edges through there to make that up there, like so. And we're just drawing around some of these shapes. Where you're going to get an overlap, you get a little dark edge that can come round and meet up and create the circle where it's laying over another one. So while you've got a nice sharp brush, you can put some of those in at the same time. And bring this all the way down. I will refine some of these shapes as we move forward. I'm not too worried about them all at the moment. Just trying to establish really where we move forward on. Get it all in, and then we can refine. And this is just like a first pass in many respects. We are just looking at all these shapes. We will get the area blocked in, as I keep saying, is what we're doing. And then once that's done, we can then move forward and start the next section, the next part of this painting, which will be to further refine the shapes and add the extra or next layer of colour moving forward. So we've got that coming through there, this nice big one that we've got in the foreground here, like so. Correct that shape's a little bit off. In fact, I'm going to make two out of that, like so. Now we've got two. It was a little bit odd, but now we've got two. That works. Okay. Now, let's just look at the drawing on this, and we got very little light difference between that and the stalk of this plant, but that's not a problem. We can make a little subtle change to some of that if we feel the need to. I'm just coming in here. There's very little area that we can see here, but we've got this great big nice shape coming around here. And already the drawing is starting to take form as we create all these lovely darks and use the edges of the new leaves that are coming up to give our light forms. So I'm talking a bit gibberish. I didn't mean to. I was just concentrating on something then and forgot what I was talking about, so I just went off on one. Anyway, forgive me for that. Let's just drop that down. I got a little bit too much blue going on in that, so I'm going to come back in, put a bit more umber to the mix. And this is almost neat paint for anyone who wants to know. There's very little medium working in with this. I'm just sort of tapping in. I want it very, very solid. I'm going to suggest these edges to some of these petals. So I'm working in negative space again. And we've talked a lot about this in recent demonstrations, both my regular one and my weekly lesson one. I'm just going to try and suggest a little line through there, which is going to be a green leaf. So I'm going to try and remember that and just bring some of these shapes down through here, and that will be probably the end of my dark, and then I'm going to go to a little bit of green just to suggest another leaf. And we've got that lovely lot of green in here, which I do need to save. And we've got another leaf there and down in here. I should have painted a few on a much smaller panel, maybe. I'm going to think we're going to be here until about 10 o'clock at night just painting discs and leaves in the water. Hope not, but there you go. Right, take that round through there like so. I'm going to make way for that leaf that comes off and the dead one that's laying there. I'm going to put in these darks, but I'm going to try, if I can, to add one or two other colour values moving forward, suggested of something just underneath the surface, something like that. If it's possible to leave and remain, you may just see that, but it's just using the thinness of the paint to suggest with the background colour on the board itself, just starts to suggest there's something else just under the water there. I'm going to pull that into there. Got a big, lovely, great big area of dark water through here. Not much colour going on as yet. I appreciate that. And I'm just going to suggest that little there. They all have this split in their leaves. At least most of the ones that I've ever seen do. So I'm going to suggest that in this one. And you also, it's almost like, because the underneath here you've got the stem of the leaf which will go underwater, so it emanates from somewhere in the center of the disc, and there's normally a split in the leaf that emanates from the center, and obviously they come up, they differ, and there's a lot of shape difference on this one, and it's really weird because it's quite a narrow looking leaf, and then it comes out a little bit there, and then this one has got dark, and there's its split there, which is corresponding with that little raised section, so we can utilize that. And we've got another little raised bit in this leaf here. We can leave this one as it is. It does curl up further round, and the bigger leaves do have this sort of wavy form lifting off the water surface as it comes round to its point, and then lays flat around here, and like so. And you notice that I'm not trying to draw a complete circle. I'm using a little jerky movement that will come out a little bit like a 50p piece, as it were. There's a little bit there, and these little taps, this little bit of dark in here, for instance, is just adds a little bit of extra realism to the leaf itself. So we've got our leaf in there. We've got a little, the slit comes in and then disappears because part of the slip has raised up here, something like that. We can use that. I said over here that we've got this one. I'm just going to put one. I will put another one in here. In fact, what I want to do is that one comes up, looks a little bit badly shapen, but it's disappearing under that one. So let's just put that in there, something like that. darken that down because that doesn't need to be that far out. But then we can come back in and we can put in another one here. So we can just pretend we're doing the whole circle bit, and then I can leave that one to come down here. Actually, I have almost done the 3, haven't I? I said I wasn't, but I've almost done it, not to worry. I'm just going to put in 1 or 2 of these sort of slits that are suggestive, so I know which way I'm doing some of the shapes and forms moving forward, like so. And now I just want to check this one again, because there's the split on there. I'm going to put that in, take that round. A bit more blue would come good, and there's a little kink in this one too, and that will come in just there. Now this therefore needs to come down a bit more, because that is where the water is, like so. And then we've got that lovely reflection, and there's actually stopped by a leaf which I haven't put in. Dear. Alright, so let's just bring our leaf over a bit further and we can make that work for us. And I'm just going to make a bigger leaf of it, and then we can use that as a barrier. I'm going to still come down there with the front of it. It's not, I'm not too worried. Mark, good evening to you. Tracy, good evening. Not a problem. Hi Tracy. And where are we? Just checking the feed. I don't know if I should be scrolling up. No, the feed is current, so that's good. So I hope everybody's still with us and getting something. It's always a worry. I can't keep an eye on totally on what's going on. So there we go. Right, I'm going to take that into there like so. And some of these I'm starting to make up because I don't really have the information, so I am making up my own shapes a little bit, and I can do that. And as so can you. I mean, I'm nobody special. It's just, you know, I'm making my shapes up to work for my picture, and indeed those of you who decide to have a crack at this one will be able to do very much the same thing. I will post this reference on my Patreon channel, so those of you who want to use it can go onto my Patreon. You don't have to be a patron to download it. It is there free to use, providing you're using it as a learning tool and not for any commercial usage. That's the only thing I ask. But other than that, it's free to download and to use. But if you are on my Patreon page and you are not a patron and you fancy helping support my channel in the financial manner, and as a result of that get an awful lot more for your buck, as it were, then have a look at it. There's a lot being put on. It's being added to all the time. And you know, if you like that and want to get more from it, there's even a tier whereby we can have a Zoom meeting twice a month, and can get you one-on-one with me from that point of view, and we can talk about particular paintings that you're working on, and I can give you some really constructive help moving forward. But as I say, you don't have to do any of that. You can just go on there and download the reference and paint it. But let me know how you get on. It'll be good. Let me see how you deal with these lilies. And they're not an easy subject, I've got to say. There's a lot to consider when you're doing these. You've got to make it look right. You're going to have that plane disappearing away and make the aerial perspective correct. And that's not just in the drawing and the shapes, but it's also the values and the tone and the color that you choose for your image. Now I'm going to come down. I really ought to be thinking of a bigger brush. I've been painting this in a much smaller brush, and I would tell anybody off for doing that. So let's just come in here with a much bolder brush, just to finish the bottom of this information off. We can add to and refine it further on, not a big deal. Just put a couple of ripples in there on that leaf, bring it round. I want to leave a lot of this out here. There's a little dark around here on where the water is coming round, but there is a lovely reflection of the lily further from back there. So I'm just going to come in here, and I'm just going to leave that now while we start looking at maybe, just maybe, painting some leaves. Be good. I hope so, because I'm actually getting fed up with just painting blue and brown together. But I want to get this bashed in very, very quickly, like so. And mindful of the time as always, but hopefully we will still keep it around the 2-hour mark. I hope, anyway. We shall see. I've got to report though that we are awfully close to making this channel monetized. I've been working with the stats of the last little while, and as you do, and I've got to say that we are about 200 hours now only away from getting this monetized. That will include what I actually hope that tonight will produce in watched hours. But hopefully after tonight the channel will only need to literally hit another 200 hours watched, and we will be able to make this channel monetized. So that actually means we can actually start putting adverts to the videos. But so maybe after a month I can afford a new t-shirt, which is, sorry, a bit flippant, throwaway remark, I do apologize. It's all very good, but you know, small acorns, big oak trees and all of that. This channel has a long way to go, and hopefully it will, with your help and your support over the coming years, grow into something that I could only wish for and dream that it did, and hopefully it will. I'm going to lay that one over this one, let that one disappear underneath. Alright, so we've pretty much blocked this in. What I do want to do is clean my brushes thoroughly, and I just want to establish this flower head before we move much further. I'm going to leave the dark colour on the palette for the moment, so we will come back to that because I feel sure we're going to need to use it one more time. Now we've got a whole range of reds and blues and greens going in here, but for the flower I'm just simply going to be using some, I thought I got rid of that one. Sorry, forgive me, Wendy knows what this is. We've got, the pair of us, we've got a very stiff mix of titanium white in our tubes. Why? I'm not quite sure why, but we have, and because of that I'm having to add some neat oil, some neat linseed oil, cold pressed linseed, to the white to make it move. Now to this flower, it's got a lovely flush of green, so I'm going to use some lemon yellow as my primary lighting for this, and I don't want to put too much yellow to it, not at this stage. I just really want to establish the lights of this, and if I get it wrong I can always come back in and add to those. So this is just going to literally start suggesting the shapes. Now, like I said, if any of you out there are botanists, please look away now, because this is going to hurt. But if you're not, then stick around, you'll enjoy. I've already made a mistake now. It's just there's slight differences in some of these petals. There's a small one in there. I'm not even going to try and draw the individual ones going down into the flower. I'm going to put a nice big shape there. We will crisp some of these up later on. This is just trying to get a start. That's all, nothing more. All the way down in here. and we will crowd out that one, which we know is going to be a darker one, and we come in this side and isolate it like so, and we will come out on this side. I've got a slippery brush because I've got oil running down the everything. Monetize, brilliant. You'll be able to buy a cup of tea and maybe half a cake. Don't spend it all in one go. No, John, I am really looking forward to having some sustenance with my water on the next stream when that actually happens. It will be a delight to actually munch into something as I'm talking to you. But that you're quite right. I mean, you know, when you go monetize, you know, people think, oh wow, you know, making a lot of money off the channel. It doesn't happen, not like that. But with a great deal of work over the next few years, and with your continued support, watching my channel and what I get up to, then maybe, just maybe, we will start making something of the channel that I can actually not only be proud of, but maybe even consider living from, in terms of revenue, not on its own by any stretch, but with the addition of other things like courses and Patreon and all these other avenues to create online material for people to enjoy. That's where I want to be, and that's what I want to do. So hopefully, as I say, over the next few years, that will take shape. Just going to put in a little bit of warmth to that one there. So we've now basically put our flower in. I want to establish the light cone on this one. It's got a lot more pinks in it, which we will put in later on. I just want to literally get this light colour in so I can then refer to all the other values moving forward. And I think there's a little bit of one just in there. I'm going to put it in. Whether we leave it there, I'm not too sure at the moment, but it's there for the moment. Alright, put that brush down to one side. Give it a good clean out. Mark, you're fine, not a problem. Good to see you. I don't know who's on and who not. We've got a lovely lady, I think, from Hawaii watching tonight. I think Jim from America is not with us this evening, unless he's crept in and kept quiet. I haven't seen his name pop up. But everybody, if you're with us or you were and you've gone and you're coming back, whatever, thank you very much. Your support and your company is most welcome during this stream. I will add some little bit of cadmium red, a little bit of cadmium yellow deep, just to warm up some of the base here of these flowers. Like I said, I'm not. I'm probably a botanist nightmare, and I know Judy knows her stuff when it comes to flowers, and I think Wendy as well. So please don't be too critical, girls. If this doesn't look anything like a lily, I will do my best. Right, let's get some of these greens working. Now I've got a lot of yellows out on my palette. I have got, for your information, I've got the three cadmiums: yellows, which is cad yellow deep, cad yellow, which is just a standard cadmium yellow, and cadmium lemon yellow. On top of that, I've got a couple of reds if I need them. By the value of cadmium red, I've also got naphtha, as well as magenta. Now they will colour my greens down to, you see the lovely maroon colours on some of these leaves, so you can understand that we're going to get some other things happening. And I've got several blues. I've got phthalocyanin blue, I've got cobalt blue, and I've got ultramarine blue. Now with all of those in the mix, we can come up with quite a few good greens, and of course we can add some white or zinc white to any of those to take them back a little bit if we wish to. You can criticize me, I just turn copper deafened, as they say, just won't listen. I'm always open to criticism. Right, God, that tastes good. Okay, so let's go in and start mixing some greens. I'm trying to put some in where you can see some of it. So there's cobalt blue, and the first one I'm going to look into is adding some lemon to that and making a middle but quite lively green. Now you can actually make a whole raft of this. You can put a lot more into that and create a lot more of that particular green. But if you want to change that green, may I suggest what you do is you come down here with some of that colour, and you maybe come in with some cadmium yellow deep, and you've changed that green. But if you try to change that with, you'd need a lot more yellow to change the whole pot. Plus the fact you still have that green to use as well as this green. Now you can come across here and you can add some lovely white to that. Now this, I'm using some zinc white, and I think it's zinc white. I'm not too sure actually, it could be titanium, but you now have 3 different values. And so this mixture, changing things around, playing with the colour, this is not actually the yellow I thought it was. This one is a, I can't remember the name of it. I squeezed it out by mistake on the page onto my palette. But you get it all, as I say, you can get all these different colours from it. Make a variety and make enough of, because if you like one and you're using it, the last thing you want to do is try and remix it. So have a thought to that. I'm going to come in, I'm going to use now a very, very strong blue in phthalo blue, and I'm not sure if you can actually see that now. I think I've just gone off camera. I do apologise, there's only so much. Let's put some up here. Now we've got this phthalo blue. You can see how strong that blue is. But if I now tap some lemon to that, you see how strong an electric green comes from that. Very, very punchy green. But if you've got a punchy green, that's fine. You've got 2 ways. You can lighten it, say there, and you can make it less powerful by putting some zinc white, I think it is zinc white. To that, you actually start to take the power from the green. If, though, you feel it is still too strong, add a little bit of red to your green. And red is the opposite on the colour wheel and the complementary, therefore, of the green. Now, if you look at those 3 values, you've got 3 different greens going on. You've got the pale, and you've got the mid, the original, and now you've got one that's tempered with a bit of red, and that will give you yet another green to play with. Now, all I'm going to do with some of these leaves is I'm going to block them in with different values of greens, predominantly all the same. Just want to play around with some of these colours just to shift the green colours on some of them. So I just really want to block in the green shapes before we start refining everything moving forward. So I'm just coming back in, looking at my edges. Okay, something like that. I don't plan on painting exact shapes. I just want to have a feeling, a very, very fresh feel to my painting. I don't really want to have to come around with a small brush and do little bits like this all the way around. I want it to be quite fresh and spontaneous. And I have to do that anyway if you want this to be ending in around 2 hours time. We could spend days on this, and I know for a fact that you guys don't have that sort of time, as neither do I. I'm going to put a purple one in there. I missed that, didn't I? I'm going to come back on this colour. I quite like this mid-lime green colour on some of them, especially on these. They've got that quite nice light wetness to them. Now this big one, actually I've missed it completely. It does come all the way through. Now this is the big one. That's the big one there. That comes all the way underneath the flower. So let's just put that one in. Let's really establish that. It comes right the way up here, down through there. See, now I'm actually refining the shape of the leaf. It wasn't where it needed to be, and I've just refined it. I put this one on top of it. That's absolutely no problem at all. I'm going to add a little bit of pale colour into some of these greens. Maybe a little bit more yellow into some of them. Quite liking the way that they were. That's probably gone a little bit the wrong way now. So where were we? Let's come back to the cadmium yellow deep. and that will turn it back to that sort of limey acidic colour. And as I say, it's just a whole raft of different greens until you've covered the page and you've got it looking at how you want it to look. And that's very, very light through there, so let's just give that a nice light green passage through there. And another green colour over here. Just change that. It's gone a little bit cooler, that one, so let's just come in with some cooler colour on there. Cooler green, a bit more blue in the coolness, just to take that green down a little bit more. And this one is an old leaf by looking at it, and it's one that's already started to pit and rot, so it's on its way out, and there will soon be a new one waiting to take its place. So let's just put that in there, and then we can come back. We've got a red one. We'll address some of these red ones in a little while. Let's just come in with a nice green on this one out through here underneath the leaves, across the top like so. Don't worry if you lose a little bit of your leaf structure. It really isn't that important. You've got a sense of the leaf, and you can come back and recompose and re-edit some of the shapes moving forward, so don't overly stress about it. Just going to give myself a little bit of a lighter green value through there on this one, and I've got to make a little bit of differential on some of these. And we've got another one through here which could be a bit red. There's another bulb I saw there, and some of these up here becoming a little less obvious as leaves, only because I can't see the darn things. The title and everything through my picture is running through the back, so I can't really see what's going on, but I'm going to suggest that they are there and that they are maybe a little less obvious. Maybe one or two of them are breaking up, they're getting a bit old, I know the feeling, and you know, they're starting to fragment in the water, because they're dying from the moment they come up, of course, and it's only a case of time before they are rotted away and in the bottom of the pond, and a new one has taken its place, as I was saying just now. Alright, so there we go. We're coming through. We're going to put a red one in there, maybe two red ones together. So let's move on to this one here very quickly. Change the colour of the green a little bit more, make it a little greener, round and down. Moving my brush in all different directions as I do this. And another one over there. And you can see that I'm becoming a little looser. Oh, I said it, didn't I? Had to say it. A little fresher, a little bit more spontaneous, a little bit rougher around the edges, whatever, of the brush marks. But I think that a painting can really work with these sort of things going on in the picture, the nice fresh brush marks. The stream seems to have frozen. Is it just me? Oh, I don't know. No freeze my end. Sorry, it's coming back now. Oh, James, don't do that to me. Alright, hopefully everyone is still able to watch and are enjoying the stream without any freezing bits. We don't do freezy bits. Right, now I need to carry on just popping in the greens on one or two more of these values, especially out through the back here. Just plant in and add the leaves as I feel they are needed before we come back in. And the last part of this painting, in a sense, will be all the highlights that we've yet to put in. I'm going to put a green one going off the edge of the canvas there. Put that in like so. We're going to put a purple one in here. Maybe we're going to put a green one up the back here. Like so. Okay. And we can come back in with some violets. Now, I need to address these bigger ones, these bigger green ones here. So let's come in and just bash away with some colour. A little bit limier, so add a little bit more cadmium yellow deep, which will give us that acidic colour. Oh, what it should do. Come on, play ball. There you go. So that gives us that lovely yellow hue, or that coolness, not coolness, that warmth, should I be saying, in these lovely forms. Right, so come around here. We are blocking him very, very nicely. Thank you very much. Right. I think you need to put another shilling in the meter, James. If I may be so bold. And it should come back. There we go. That one's in. Did the back of it, so we use the same value of colour pretty much. Add a bit more yellow into that. It's just gone off a little bit. Just come through there and add that lovely colour in. And I want this in. This yellowness on this will work very, very well in a moment, because we're going to put in a much lighter colour, but it's going to be a much cooler colour. I'm going to put in a bit more yellow into there and darken that down if I can through there. And this is where I'm starting to look at some of the tones and tonal shift of these greens as we move around and create these beautiful leaf platforms, platters, plates, whatever. And they are all beautifully different, and you've got subtle colours that are warm and cool and dark and light, and you need to have those against the highlights, which can be light or cool, but in the opposite manner. Right, there's one or two more we've got to still put in and play with. I'm going to put another one in there, which is green, and we're going to pretty much, we've got to come down here very quickly. Quickly look at these ones. This one we made bigger, didn't we? So we've got to come back in. I'm going to make this quite cool on the outside, like that. Give it a bit more bulk, so there. And we've got the other side on here, like that. Put that one coming down, but we're going to put the last one curling up over the top. So that's going to have a big definite shadow and a big sense of light on the other side. But for now, we're just going to bash in the bold, the basic colour, and then move on. We just got to get this one finished off here. Maybe it's stiff, a little bit of liquid to that, just to give me a bit more movement with the colour. That's better. It's getting a little bit stiff on me. There's not been a problem today out in the field, because it's been so melt hot sort of thing outside that all the paint has been very, very soft and easy to manage and manipulate. So I've had to use very, very little medium moving forward. But hopefully that's okay. And we've got these big ones here, so I do need to come to the bigger brush once again very quickly, and let's just crack on and get these knocked into place. Getting to the point now where we do need to see some other stuff happening. I don't know how long we've been going. I can't see the time again. How long have we been going on here? Doesn't tell me. How long have we been going, Ben? You're normally my stopwatch. I'm going to put in some nice yellow and green through here. We're going to come in and change some of these values further on. I'm just literally using the brush in this form just to draw with this colour all the way around the edge to form that top, and then we just bring that in to meet it, like so, using the tip of this dagger brush. I do love these daggers. That's alright, not a problem. I'll lend you a shilling if you want for the meter. That's probably all I can do. And just getting a little bit cheeky. But there you go. Nice bit of wave. And we're going to bring that down. And of course we've got to put the highlights in. This is just the basic part. Like so. I'm still unsure why this is a weird looking shape to this leaf. There must be a reason that I've not detected yet, but I will carry on. 65 minutes. Okay. We are hopefully on schedule. And for those of you who have never sat and went through one of my video streams before, I hope you make the course. Some of the people watching are veterans of these campaigns, so hopefully you can enjoy them with me as well. Right, I'm nearly there with all this green. I do apologise, but it's a flaw with lilies. I think they're green, so somebody should have thought about that. And yes, some are red before anyone spots that and tells me off. I'm going to wave this up a little bit, just around the edges, just play around with the edges of this, just to give it a little undulation. Coming round the edge of this one. And you can see that I've gone right over some of my dark. I really am not that worried about that at all. I come in here. If any of you have got any questions, now's the time to sort of talk about them. I'll do my best to keep watching the feed on the stream as I am going. I can't guarantee I'll catch everything, but this is not just a case of just watching, but if there's something you need to glean from what's going on and not quite sure about it, then yeah, please just fire away with a question. I'll do my best to answer. Just going to come around here, create these nice shapes. There's a lovely strong shape there. And I nearly thought I'm going to come down in here, but of course it's not. It's the reflection of the lily itself. And so with that said, we've done all the purple bits. We've done all the green bits. We're going to do all the purple bits now. So anyway, there we go. So there is our lily basically blocked in. I think it is a round one, nearly all on the canvas, but there's a little touch underneath, about 50%. Yeah. Are you talking about that one that's to one side? I think you're right. I think you've got a round one here. I think I'm just seeing what you're seeing. There's actually another one on it here. So we will try and make that little distinction between the two. I'm just going to put a bit of a line through here. Well spotted, Ben. I looked at it twice and then dismissed that, but I think it's absolutely right. I'm going to suggest a slightly different variety of green, like so, like that, and we can lay this one. In fact, we can do that. We can just tap in a little bit of dark in there, suggesting that that goes around like so. That'll work. Yeah, I think that's the one, Ben. I think we've got the idea on it now. So I need to raise this slit up, don't I? I need to change the position of that, giving that, get rid of that. So just paint that out altogether, and we can come back in with another mark that is much higher and more suggestive of where it should be, somewhere like that. All right, so we just got to mix up a nice value of magenta and the green. So now we've got a green up here which we made with the blue. We're going to add to that, add a bit of lemon to that too, so we get that really electric color green. Now I'm going to tap in some magenta, just see what happens. We get that lovely purple, add a bit of red. Now we're going to make that purple a little deeper and a little bit off from its original purple. Now I hope that we've got somewhere, we haven't. My hope was forlorn. Start again. All right. Let's just check that again. I thought I was on it. So let's go a different route. Let's go in with some ultramarine blue, and let's make a deep purple with magenta. Let's tap a bit of red in, which will dirty it. Now we'll come back to some zinc white, And let's just see where that is. We've got way too much of a purple going on. So now I'm going to add some Indian yellow. Shift it to the red. We're probably a little closer than that first mix I came up with, but yeah, I quite like that. We can use that because I can use the lights and darks from there. So let's just pop in these lovely plum coloured, if that's the right word, shapes in some of these lovely little leaves that have just come up to the surface. Now we're going to put some lights into them, don't worry, they're not going to be that close a value to the background water, but they're just to get a start. I'm just going to pop this one in, let it come around the edge of that green one. We don't want it to come over the top. And some of these purples have a bit of the green in them as well. If you look very closely at them, they do have some green value in them. So some of them are quite close to that. I'm going to put that one there, bring it through, and another one in here, like so. Tap that round, give that a bit more of a shape into there. We can refine these further on. I'm going to come back in and put a bit of green into there just to lose that piece of board. That looks a bit of a mess for the moment, but we will refine that in further on, but not a problem. Alright, just finish off a couple of these up the back here, and one in here. So now, if any of you want to, I'm sure there's a lot of you that would like to go back and look at all my live streams again and go through them with meticulous diligence and thought to how you can help yourself with them, and therefore obviously helping me kill some of these owls that I've still got to kill. That are good. I'm being rude. Good idea though. Right, I'm being really naughty. Sorry people. I'm going to add in a little bit of a magenta-y one on here. Take that into there. Right, so we've got that bud above, and then we can just come across onto these ones. Oh, I picked up a lot of white then. I didn't mean to do that. Bit of magenta, come back in, a bit of the blue in with that, a little bit of the red, take it away, a little bit of that red, and maybe a bit more blue. Try and mix some of that down again. It's a little bit lively. Okay, we'll live with that for the minute. Put that in just to warm it out a little bit in one or two places, just to come back and finish off. I think that works. We can use that. So this brush really does work very, very nicely for this job. There's that one there. And the bottom of it, like so. I'm going to take that off to dark through the back there. I think there's a little one in the middle here, which I started painting green, so we're going to put that in. We're going to have our token little baby one that's just come up for fresh air. Put that in. And I think there's, I'm not quite sure what I've got going on here. I think I'm going to put another one in here against that nice petal. Let that sit up and we can play around with the darks that are under there. I'm quite sure what's going on there. So now I'm just going to come in with a bit of this dark, just clear up some of the messes that I've left. Say for instance there, and just shape that up around there and into here. Now I think I said there was a green one in there, but not here. Let's just put that into there and that into there. Just diluted that dark a little bit. I'm going to put that back. Okay. And I do need to put that green in that I spoke about. So let's just put this one in. So I'm going to put a little bit of green in there. Coax it in. And just into here. nice sharp edge, and that will give us a bit of a leaf. We can see behind the thing moving through there, like so, a little bit there and in there. Okay, that we'll leave for the moment, and now we're going to start the almost the final play with this. I'm going to have a glug though. 2 seconds, thank you. I've just seen the time come up, Ben. It's just for the first time I can see how many minutes we're doing. I don't know why that suddenly happened, but hey ho, technology, it's a wonderful thing. Right, now we're going to start looking at all the refinements we need to do, and this is where this painting can take an awful long time, or it can be done fairly freshly and quickly. What I'm looking for are all the light edges, as the way that the light runs along the leaf and then comes down to the edge of the water like so. And I'm using still greens, but very, very pale greens in certain ones, and I'm trying to use the opposites. Now this here has got a lot of light, warm lights, a lot of yellows, a lot more acidic into it. So for that one I want to actually suggest that we've got blue going on, but I've actually messed up. I can see I've messed up here. This is one leaf, and I saw that and thought I had two, so I'm just going to use my finger to mess that up there, and I'm going to radiate out these lights in a very different way, something like that, so that we get the thing looking as it should. Now I did say I wanted to make the light here cooler, so for that I'm going to tap in a little, have a little bit of mix on the side, a very sort of paley, insipid looking grey blue. Hopefully that will be light enough, and we can actually, no, it's not light enough. Okay, I'm going to mix between two brushes, so I'm put the dagger down for a second, and I'm going to use I've got a small filbert, not the one I'm playing, but it'll work the job. So I want to come in and make a fresh mix, uncontaminated mix down here out of the way. I know it's not part of where you can see, at least I don't think it is. No, it's way off camera. But I want to make a lighter, whiter, paler, cool mix. I've got to be very careful how much I put of the blue in. And let's see if we can't get that moving. A little bit of oil in there. There's a lot of white gone into it. And of course that white, as we all know, is stiff. So, okay, so let's just come in with a cool. See, now that cool light works very, very nicely, thank you very much, with the acidic greens that we've got going on at this part of it. And just coming around there like so. And we've got the light in here. We don't need to worry about that. I'm going to put in quite a bit of light in through here, around the edge of this leaf, and then suggest one or two areas going across here. Now this is what threw me, because I had the line here, the lower line of the lower petal, and it's gone. So I got to actually lose that for a moment and need to come back in with some stronger green to do that. There we go. There we are. Alright, hopefully that will be convincing enough. Get rid of that. Right, okay. Are we due any thunderstorms, Judy? I see you mentioned a thunderstorm. Bit worrying. Okay, I'm just coming in with very, very limey green, but I'm going to go in with some cobalt, temper that down, and if I find that it's just too much of a green, I don't know, you're still off camera, and it's very, very hard to suggest a colour on the palette, show you with having a picture of me in the bottom and the screen image that we're painting from in the top. It's just not enough room to get all of it in, so something has to give, and I'm afraid it's many of the colour mixes that do go on. Alright, so back to it. Let's just put some dark in. I need that to be a little fresher than that. And just going to quickly look at it again. Maybe some more cobalt into there. Take another look at that. That's better. I'm just going to put in a little bit of dark here and there as it goes up through the center of the leaf. Like so. And a little bit out on the edge too. The red. Just temper the green a bit. Okay, let's move quickly on to the next one right next to it. Now that's quite a bit cooler, so we're going to put this darker value in on this one, and let's put that in much darker and much cooler. So that hasn't got a great deal of variety. What we can do is we can just put the light part of the leaf there that's turning. That's quite cool, just catching the light there, and then it's just off of that edge there, and it starts to lighten up as it goes up the split. And just move on, and we're going to go on to the next one. Now there is a lot of dark in here. We're going to have a lot of paint on how these changes, and the dark over the back. But there is that light through the center of this one, and there is a mix of green and other colors in on this one too. So this is not all purple. It's got a lot of variety going on in terms of what we're seeing. So there's some greens, what have you. And not in no, not in it. That's something else under apparently. Oh, okay. I didn't realise that. Right, so we've got that lovely transition of violets and what have you on there. I'm going to do a very similar treatment here. These violet ones have quite a bit of green in a sense to them. So I'm going to put that in. Just play around with some of these shapes. This one's got quite a bit of green on one side. I'm going to put that in like so. Now this is where I want my brush marks to be a little bit more free in the making. I'm not trying to make transition changes that give me exact edges and forms. If they happen, they do. If they blend, they're lucky. I'm just trying to create a fresh painting, and it's my only chance of getting this done pretty much before the end of our session, really, because it's going to be tough to come in and paint every little subtle change and every subtle little value change and soften it to the next and one thing another. This needs to be, as far as I can make it, as fresh, and that to me excites the painting anyway, I've got to say. If I'm honest with you, you know, a painting that is just absolutely in the zone in terms of all the value changes, all the subtlety, the detail is spot on. To me, it becomes quite a boring picture to some. I mean, not to everybody, it's very much a personal thing. But edges form, edges are lost, soft or sharp. And to that end, that's it. I'm going to come in with some lighter value over here. I'm going to put a bit more blue to some of that. Just like catching a bit of light through the top there. Maybe a bit more. Just that leaf at the top on that one is curling. And it could do with being a little cooler, a little bluer there. That's better. I like that. That's good. Just crisp, clean, nice marks. The more you keep dabbing, dab, 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 dab with the paint, the more it's going to mix. And that's not always a good thing. That's not always what you're looking to do. Just going to put a little edge around a couple of these. In fact, I'm going to do that with a rigger later. I'm going to leave that for now. I'm just going to look into this shape here. Just want to have a little bit of cool coming down through there. We are at 1 hour Now 24. Oh dear. Never seem to be able to do a quick stream, guys. I do apologise. I think I'm always going to be apologising to you. Never doing a quick stream. I'm going to put a little bit of cooler on this side on this one. It just seems to have that coolness about it, especially down on the lead edge here. As it comes up to the edge of that one there. We've got a little bit on here as well. I'm going to actually put a darker edge on one side and then quite pale down on this side. That's a little too pale, if I'm honest with you. And bring that down like so. Okay. And looking at other violet ones as we move back, we're going to put a little light shape in here. And I just want to give that one of these up here has got a few ripples in it, so I want to suggest a little light area like so, catching a little ripple in the leaf form, and on this one too, a little ripple. It's probably a little bit too light, but we can come back and address that and put a bit more blue to the red mix. Just take it back down a little bit. There we go. That's probably, I like that. And take that around the edge of this one. I'm going to come down with that and let that come into this one here and around the edge of that one, so we get that little bit of dark mark just left there, and then this one can go back out and create its nice curvature around there like so. That works. I'm going to pop up and put a little ripple on there and there. And this one we've already done, haven't we? So I've got to just come in with the light edge there, so we get a shape, and the leaf is lifting, and it's actually got this one over the top of it. I haven't quite drawn that as the photo, so I'm not too worried about that. We'll put that in like so. How are we doing? Nearly an hour and a half. Oh dear. Okay. Looking back to some of our green ones again up here where we haven't really done too much to them. So we're going to come back in, join a few up and let them sort of soften against the background. In one or two places, let that come all the way up into there. And again, we can actually make this have a little ripple. Like so, we can come back in if we want to with the dark, but those little ripples really work in our favour because they give shape and form to our lily leaves that we know they do sit on the top of the water with these little areas. So we're going to put in a little edge, a little hard edge on there, which is fine, doesn't matter. It's soft or hard, they are just lovely little shapes. And don't get bogged down with all of that. I'm going to put a light area on the edge of this one, like so. Come back with some other greens. And same with this one up here. Just mix it up, giving that lovely little sharp edge. In fact, what we might do with that one is just take that over a little bit wider out to there like so. It was fine, but I just want to take it into this leaf here. So I'm going to do that. And maybe just give that a little ripple there. Okay, so now we have a bit of a mess up with stuff that was going up here. So let's try and just get this back in, kick it into some water. So let's just come back in with this nice green shape here, take that right the way off the page, like so. But it is looking too out of shape, in my opinion. So I'm just going to take off some of that, just to make my job a little easier, and not battle with so much paint there. And just come in with some new shapes. So we've got, let's go back in with a brush is way too wet. You can see how wet that was, how it took away all the paint off the surface of the board. Not to worry about what's just happened. We're simply going to remix some colour, and if your palette's got too wet, then just adjust that by rubbing off the excess paint with the cloth and starting fresh. So now I'm just going to come in here and I want to create a violet up into this corner, just going out of shot, somewhere like that. And then I will come in with a smaller one in here, like so, quite a bit shallower. And then I'm going to come in with some green and tidy up this one here so it comes into these ones, around the shape, and we can have a much bigger one here, maybe sitting over the top of this one. So this one can come round and it can have a couple of these little kinks in it, like that. And then we can just bring these shapes together here. So this one like that and around. If that works. If it doesn't work, then we can go back out and we can take that all the way out to dark if we want to. It's just really trying something just to finish off that corner to see if we can make that work for us. So I'm just going to tidy up this area with the dark before we go any further. I'm just going to give that little bit of shape there, shape round there to suggest that's where that goes, and come in with a little bit of a tummy tuck on this one. There we go. Take that dark and keep it all the way up to the back there. Now let's just look at this, and I'm going to take that round there now. Take that into there and into there. In fact, I'm going to lose that bit of a purple one. Just going to come in there like so. Join them two up and our purple one will become a bit of a darker green one. Like so. But I'm still not quite happy with the way that's looking, so I'm going to change the shape of this. I'm going to put that like that. Come in with some darks, getting a little bit more weak, the dark, because I'm playing around with a lot of light colours and just remixing a little bit of paint. Just take that through there. In fact, it'll probably be easier to wipe that back. I'm going to be fighting all that green. Let's come in with a dark and finish it like that. It was just getting a little bit out of hand. So I'm just going to come round like so. Two choices: you can leave it like that, or you can go and re-explore it and see if you can't re-establish the leaf in there. But I'm quite happy with that. That's not too bad at all. Alright. Okay. Where are we? I need to get some more towel. And another glug, I think. Excuse me, everybody. No problem, Jeff. Thank you for joining. Right, okay, let us look at picking up a rigger. And we're going to come in and hopefully we're going to start grabbing some of these lights and darks around the edges. So we're going to make the paint move. And we're going to start looking at some of these edges. Now on these lights and darks, you got the edge like so, and it's coming around, but you have the water. I learned this years ago in chemistry or physics or whatever it was, but that was eons ago. I don't want to even go down that road. But there is a water tension. If I say this right, meniscus, something like that. I don't know. Probably said that completely wrong. But there is a tension of water, and you get a funny little line along the edge of the lights and the darks, and that to me is the trick with these lilies, is to try and replicate that. Just going to come in with a bit of light through some of these, a little bit of tap on the tail end of that where it's starting to curve around the edge, on there, like so, and come around with a little bit of light on there, and they start to come and form up now. They're starting to come to life, I hope. Gently does it. And not all of them, they don't all have the line round, but some, and you can make it work very, very nicely. Thank you very much because of that. A little bit of light through there, just coming down to the tip. Okay, come back to some of these, and we've got light around the edge, especially where they lift and they get that little sheeting, sort of veining in a sense, that comes out. That's catching a bit of light there. And the whole process is about looking to find these and pick up on them and use them. Now you'll see once in a while a little bit of my pink board that I started with popping through the painting. Don't be alarmed by it, work with it, use it. It just helps the viewer unify the painting. You get lots of these little bits of colour that are just left randomly from your painting, and because of that they just work with the brain. The brain sees them and it just creates the pattern and it creates the harmony, and that really does work in our favour. That was meant to be green, but I painted it violet. I'm not worried, not too worried about that at all. A little bit of green value into that part of the flower just quickly. I'm going to add some more to that, but it's just to start with. Alright, carrying on very, very quickly, or as quickly as I possibly can. Again, just line some of these out, play around with them, like so. And at this point you can either get very, very detailed, or you can just leave it very, very simple. Okay. Some of these I'm going to be coming back in with some darks, where I'm creating these little slits. Nice light running around the edge of this one, comes down and meets the point there. And not a point actually, it should go out and round. So I completely missed that one. There's a lot of work to be done up in the back here, which we'll try and put a little bit of light in through there, and just one or two bits gently. It's not a prescribed amount, it's not a set thickness of line, it's just here and there where the brush actually touches it. Nice light catching on there. Continuing this up through the back here. I'm getting a little bit sort of, I don't think the word blasé is the right word, but I'm just getting a little bit more, trying to get them done as fast. So I'm not very good with my words tonight, but you get the idea, I hope. Just dancing the brush around, looking for little lights and little opportunities. Or flash that one light over through there. And over the back here, just one or two. And just looking away from where the light is, it's very hard to see. Hard to see exactly what colour I'm looking at. Excuse me. Just cooling that down a bit, putting a bit of green back in. That's a little bit too lively. Let's come back in with some lemon yellow, cool it down. Bit of blue into that, bit of cobalt blue into that. Maybe even a bit of ultramarine blue into that, just to knock it back down a little bit. And so, excuse me, something in my throat. Okay, bear with me. Let's cool that back down, that's what I was trying to say. So I'm just going to come in with one or two other values here. And we didn't do much to that, so I'm going to actually play around with that violet and put some green into that. And the same on this one here, just tapping in a little bit of finger painting. Never hurt anybody. Okay. So I'm just going to come in and suggest a little area around there. And let's have that little bit of light coming in there on that one. And very similar thing, but let's have the light coming in there. We can put that down like so. Okay, a little bit over the back there on that one, and just finish that one there. I can't quite see what's going on there because, as I said, the writing on my particular photo is blocking out everything there. I can't quite see what's going on. I'll put that in and bring that up to there and under that one there. Okay. We haven't even touched these down here, for heaven's sake. I do apologise. Right, so just quickly we're going to come in with a nice light side on there, and again on there. I'm using my finger just to smudge them. That doesn't matter, it's just give me a nice soft lead in to these lovely little bits where the light's catching the fold or the raised section of the leaf into the water, and then it's got a nice bank through there which I'm going to put in like so. And a little bit here, it's a little patchy. It's darker under there, which we're going to have to bend in, so I'm going to put a lighter section through there. Okay, and then that will become dark on this side, so these will radiate out this way lighter. Now I need to really pump up the contrast, so I'm going to come in with another mix of the blues and a bit of yellow in to make a deeper green, but knock it back a little bit, just check it, and that's probably too strong. A little bit of yellow into there, try and get that roughly where we need it, and that gives me a deeper green into there, but I don't want them to look too solid. I just want them to be little soft taps like that through there and like so, and through here to the top end of this leaf, even a little bit greener than I've got it. Okay, and there's that dark valley under there which I've completely missed. So I need to come back in and give that a nice sharp dark through there, and then that can pan out across the plate of the leaf itself. I should be using a much bigger brush for this, I'm going to be said. I'm just going to put in the dark. Alright, now we've got this other leaf that we haven't actually done anything for it at all. So I'm going to put a bit of light in to give that side of this leaf. Brush has got quite contaminated. Trying to get that round into there and into there like so. Okay, it's not perfect, this part here. I would like to have had a little bit more form and time to design this, or at least sort of look at the values a bit more, because I've got them very yellow lights and I would like to have had them, if honest, a little cooler, a little bluer, and I'm not getting that out of it. So I'm going to come in, just see if I can tap in a little cooler value into some of these. That's better, but it's making it a little harder work. Okay, and then some lights through here, I think. And we'll have to live with this one. A little bit of light through there. And it does taper off, and it does get a little bit, starting to break up a little bit on the edges, and put that in. These bigger leaves are taking that much more work. More limey green through there would look nice, just to finish the edge of that. And that lovely little bump in there, like so. Okay, now I could take a lot more time on that leaf, given time, but yeah. You okay? I hope I'm alright. Is that to me, John? Am I okay? I hope so. Did I go off piece then a little bit? I do go quiet sometimes. I do apologise when I'm trying to concentrate on something and sort of not really mess it all up. So I can sometimes go very quiet. I don't know if that's what you're picking up on. There's a very limey dark green. So let's just come in there. There's a little bit of that and that leaf like that. And we've got a nice light around the edge of it. It's sort of picked out. Yes, the cooler blue is picking up like a skylight, Ben. And that was the idea. It's picking up that sort of lovely little light. And I just want to put in a little picked up reflected light here that runs that out through there, and then comes on down to the front end of these. And these have got some lovely little light edges where this is sort of folding up in the water, like so. And they radiate out that way. So that I'm going to try and make them a little cooler as they go out. There's quite a light area on this edge. Big old leaf. Big old leaf. Next time I decide to paint lily leaves, people, tell me to do it on a smaller canvas. Something like 4 inches square would be good. Alright, I've got a light edge around there which I'm just going to bash that in like so, very very crudely in a way, go up to that edge there. Makes that a little greener, but a little cooler green. Okay, and that comes out in a different way that I've got it. Comes around like that. that's okay. Okay, John. Yeah, no, I'm fine. That's just something caught in my throat, which caused that. But thank you. Right. Just going to get in a little bit of light around these, and we may not have time to do all of these because I do really need to look at the beautiful flower, of course, and its reflection, which is really what this whole thing is about. And put a little bit of the yellow light into a couple of these edges here. Just punch these up. Because it really is important that I not only get these lights in, but I also show you the other part of it that I haven't been able to do just yet. I'm just going to put some more lights in here very, very quickly. Put a bit of pale blue light into one or two of them. And I was going to make this a dark shape, wasn't I? Because this is going to make this lifting up. So let's do that. Let's try and make this one that is lifting up the leaf and running up. There's a bit of light that's coming back into the leaf at that point. But then we've got to make the top. I was actually going to do that on this one, wasn't I? I'm not thinking this through. There we go. Let's leave this one as he was. And let's just do that what I've just been speaking about in here. Let's put that light in through here very, very quickly, like so. Then come back in and put in a darker value of green, a little bit of that in there, and we can just bring that around like so. Maybe a tap of red into our blues and our yellows. Let's just make a really dark edge to that, so we get a little real line like so, and hopefully that's convincing enough that there is a curvature and a little bump in there before that then comes round. So there. Alright, now that can be refined, but I think hopefully that just describes the little bit of a edge, darker, richer colour. Maybe put in that might work a little better by putting in that darker green value there, and maybe just there. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Right, let's concentrate on the last part on doing this lovely flower, which we have completely omitted. I would have liked to have put some more lights into some of these, but I don't think there'll be enough time. We will just see how time finally ends up. I'll put a little bit of naphthalene red, a little bit of yellow, making a very strong orange, but I'm going to come and cool that down with some little bluey whites that I've had mixed up to one side. I'm just going to come in and suggest that lovely pink glow on some of these petals in here, just to get them going up, and this one in here, nice warm glow. This goes to a greenier glow, but let's get the first one in first, like that. Now we're going to turn that to a slightly more acidic colour, and we're going to come up into these. That's got quite dirty. Let's lift that out. Let's come back out of that. Let's come in with some of this nice green. Let's get a nice green going on. Maybe a bit better. And let's just look into putting some of the slight value changes into these petals. Trying to give it a glow. That's what I'm trying to do, is give that lovely limey green glow into this, using the green and the pinky colour just to suggest that. And that's going to be quite dark, so we're going to leave that alone for the moment. And there is a lovely yellow centre flower just there. I think that's the female part of the flower. I do know these things. My mind is going a complete blank. I'm not really this dense. I do sound it, but I'm not really this dense. I do know that there are stamens, but I can't think what the other part is right off the top of my head. I ought to be able to, but I'm not. I'm just going to suggest that in there. Stigma, I think. Oh dear. Oh well. It's a long time since I was at school. And just, I'm picking up too much dark under there, and I don't want that happening. So I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to change the brush to the rigger one more time. Come back in with some real lights, some warms. I'm mixing this off camera. I do apologise. Not a lot I can do about it. I just want to come in with some lovely fresh colours in here to pump up these ones into the flower. Just coming down. Lovely. It should be a white colour, I know. I've changed my thing to a greenish white. Like so. A little bit heavier with the paint, not a problem. Oh. Okay, now there are several little different accents of light and pinks going on here from the original colour that first went in to the shape of the petals now. Now I know these petals are not pointy as the flower suggests they should be. I'm going to try and repair that one. That got a little bit out of hand there. Right, so hopefully that's convincing enough there. Like I said at the beginning, I am a botanist nightmare. But I quite like the way that looks. There's a little bit of light just on there which we can lift that like so. And there's a little bit of light on there, we can call that like so. Right, we're going to put in the cooler version, so we're going to put in a little bit of violet. The opposite to the yellow is a violet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to suggest the shadow side of some of these with just a little bit of violet white. And the stronger it becomes, the more evident it is. And you may not want that, so just watch it. You can always come back in and temper that with some green whites again if you want to, but this is just to suggest that these are the petals, because obviously the petals got a crown and we're seeing one side of it, so we have got to try and suggest that there is a bowl of these petals. Slightly stronger greeny violet, just to suggest there's a little dark green vein on one of these, or some of these that I'm not actually putting in, so I do need to put those in. There's a tipped one up there, and just a slight discoloration on that one there. Alright, that's not so bad. Let's just clean our brush, and we will look at. Are you guys happy to go on? You must tell me if you are or you are not. Okay. holding my breath a little bit. Bramley Junction, what have you been doing? Don't tell me you've been running your trains all this time. That's a feeble excuse, I'm afraid. Right, okay, so we're going to leave that at that point, and I want to put in a bit of a musty, degraded, yellowy colour into this bud that's just popped above the head of the water. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to give that a little bit of light in one or two places, and it's just picking up. And a little bit of a highlight down this side. Like that. Good, good, good. Okay. I will keep going. I'm just going to put in some more colour into here. Just giving that a nice bit of light going through there. And a nice orangey colour on that part of the leaf that's still folded. And I want to repeat some of that here, but darker. I'm going to use the brown that's already in there. That will already contaminate the colours that I'm putting in. That will work quite nicely there. I've got to make this part up because obviously it wasn't part of the picture at this point. So I'm going to put that in like so and make that disappear. And there's a bit of a dark edge there. We've got a nice bit of dark there which we need to put in. Goes all the way up to there. And I'm going to use a little bit of that just to come back in and put a darker area there, which works very, very nicely with all the greens in the whole of this painting. Bring it down through that green. Now this is a reddish pink. A reddish pink, of course, is opposite to all the greens that we are using, so it works in our favour very, very well. Put a little bit of deep dark in there, and suggest a little bit in one or two of these, so it looks like it's all going, collapsing into the centre of this bowl, like that. Okay, leave it there for a minute. Have to go out now. Yes, okay, Luke. Good night to you, my man. Thank you very much for watching. Right. A little bit of green through there, just to give that a bit of colour on the top of this bud. A little bit more yellowish in there. And hopefully a little bit on the side of it there. Now we're going to come in with a cooler green. And we're going to colour up our leaves, which are still folded. And on this side too. Now I don't mind if I leave some of the underlying drawn paint, because that will work. I'm not too worried about that. A dirtier value through here because it's obviously darker in the water and the reflection, and the same through on this part here. A little bit darker, not too much, just enough, like so. And let's just play around with some of these colours in here. I'm gonna just bring that up a little bit. Okay. Bit of dark veining through the centre of these flowers. I've got that one a bit wrong. I'm going to bring it from there and I'm going to bring it down like that. Then of course it comes back out into the reflection like so. And we've got the very same thing going on in here. Going to put that one into there and then bring that through like that. Okay. Now then, just a little bit more light into there. A bit more. and a bit out of there and the same there. And we're going to do the same on this side, just give that a little bit of more fresh feel there and there. Didn't want that. Then we can just come off here like that, and a bit cooler through there like so. Let that disappear, and actually we can give that, I can see there's a funny little bit of a ripple, so let's make that work in our favour. Let's just suggest that there's a little bit of a ripple into there as that bud comes off and into the darkness of the water like that. Okay, so we've pretty much done that. There's always a little bit more you can do to most pictures, but we have got to sort of take this and see if we have the time to do anything, or whether or not I'm going to have to come back in the morning and do a bit more work. But at the moment we're good. I'll put in, there is that lovely little reflection going on, which is quite dirty and warm. I'm going to put that in there like so. Just got that, not much, just picks up a little bit there. There's a little highlight which I don't want to lose, so I want to put that little highlight in the water there, and again in there. That's working. And we've got a little really nice light on top, which I've not got, it's not enough, so I'm going to just come back in. Let's give that good reason to have those there. Let's put a little bit of light there, a little bit of light in there, and then just temper that down a bit. Okay, I'm happy with that. Right, now I'm going to put the darks into the flower, so I'm going to come back in with some of our original blues and browns that we had. Maybe add a little bit of red to temper the greeny colour of it, and add a little bit of yellow into it too. Let's just look at that, and let's come in with our very strong dark here in this part that will come down into this part of the base of the flower. It actually gives a beautiful light. It really pushes the light of the rest of the flower in my favour. Let's get that a little bit of dark there, just a little touch. That will then come through there. Excuse me, and off to that like so. Then comes down to this part here, which is quite simply going down into the water. And I've got to do a little tidy up through here. There's a little bit of information that's missing. I'm just going to come in there, play around with that. I think actually there is a dark leaf the other side, which I couldn't quite make out. I'm going to put that in and suggest it. Hopefully I'm not wrong. But I think that says it should be. Maybe even more than one, but I'm going to use that and leave it at that for the moment. Like that. And I've done that bit of green, but I just need to take this up a little further into here. My drawing is slightly different to that of the painting, of the photo. I'm going to do that there. I'm going to do that in there, just to tidy up that piece into there. And then now then I should also have a bit here. I'm going to suggest the edge of a leaf around this part here. Just come back in, and because I'm not keep running the paint everywhere, it will go over the dark quite nicely. The hard part is coming the other way round and making the dark come in the other way, but I think that's working. And if anyone turns around and said, I told you you couldn't paint flowers at the end of this, that'll be it. I will never paint another one. Now I'm going to put that in there like that. They do have this sort of limey green feel to the edges of these, but I don't want to keep messing around, because the more I mess around, yeah, I'm going to just bring up the paint from underneath. I'd rather leave it as they are and just carry on. Now we've really got to think about the reflection, and I want to put in a slight bit of light green to the stem as it's coming down, And I'm going to suggest that there is a little bit of reflection coming off of there to that. And then I got to quickly bash in these lights of these down through here. It's a lot greener than I'm showing it, but I'm not going to be able to give it exactly. I just want to try and suggest that we've got the flower in reflection before this painting finishes. So I'm just playing around with some of these lights and these darks just for a short while, because there's still something I want to do to the whole picture which I haven't been able to do yet. I want to come in there with that. There's quite a little reflection through there with that light and that dark, which is nice, just a nice little touch. Okay. Maybe a few warmer ones through here, just one or two places where there's a bit of colour in the water. There's actually, what am I looking there? I think actually that is that leaf there that I'm seeing. I think that's reflected somewhere there. Not 100% sure, I think that's what that is. I'm just going to suggest it anyway. I'm just going to suggest that shape into there. Makes the reflection more interesting anyway, so hopefully that will be fine. And there is a cooler value in here as well, so there's lots of little subtle changes to the shapes. Some of these could be obviously the leaves that we're seeing or whatever, I'm not too sure. And yeah, we just make of it what we can. And then I'm going to use the rigger with some darks, and I'm going to mix up a fresh lot. So let's just clear some of this off. Put that to one side. Let's mix in here. So hopefully you can still see this mix. We've got a dark back again, and now I'm just going to come in and start looking at some of these areas of dark around here. So just sharpening some of these edges up before we come to a conclusion. And this little dark in here, we've got that lovely bit of reflection, and there's a lot more because of my drawings a little bit different, I think. Or is it? No, you know, I think we're going to come in and going to lose some of this reflection. This is going to have more paint across it because obviously I did just bash it in earlier, so it hasn't had the refinement of an extra bit of attention or colour or coat. I'm just going to bring that in there, and I'm going to literally start carving in the negative space. Take that out, and a little bit of dark through there. There's a little sort of dark values through there, going away. So I'm just creating a reflection, but this really does want to get out of the mix because it's just a bit too much, too far over. So I'm getting rid of some of that. That's not the best thing to make dark paint do. It will not like playing around with getting in the way of light mixes. But I was pretty bold with it and went straight for the juggler, so I think we got away with it. I hope we got away with it. I think we have. So that's pretty much all we're going to do with this for the moment. We could play around with it for a long time to come, but I think that'll be enough to suggest that we've got this reflection worked out. So what I want to do now is just come back in and play around with one or two areas in these darks here which have been largely forgotten. So let's bring some of these slits back into play. This one here's gone. We'll put that into there like so. And this is when we can create lots of other things happening. So there. And this one has been largely lost, so let's bring it to there. And we can start creating these. And what I'm trying to do is these little bits of what I call the water tension. I want to put a little bit of light, but I want to put a little bit of dark just above the light. And it looks like, I hope it looks like, the water is got that little bit of extra dark and light going on there, and it gives that sense of the I can't think what I was trying to say now, but that little bit of water tension around the lead edge is that little tension that gets broken, and I got to try and do that, and I want to bring that around there. Now this is going to take way more time than I've got, but I just want to show you enough to bring this to a conclusion there. And let's take that in much stronger. We are losing a few people as well, I think, so people are slowly drifting away, and I can't blame them. Right, and there, little tip there, and bring that around and into a dark there. Let's just tidy this piece up. I'm going to bring that one around like so. Now that hasn't got its slit in it, so let's just create one. There will be one up there, so let's just take that through the back like that, and then that will come around like so, going underneath. And 2 more darks in here and dark in there, which is lost. If I can take that down there and create that as the edge of the shape. Lots of small refinements and little light through there. I'm trying to show you a little incidence here with this edge that I'm trying to create that little look of the reflection. You can see it in 1 or 2 of the pictures. I haven't even addressed this area over here. It's been largely forgotten, so we will have to address that tomorrow. But I wanted to put in this little water breaking thing, tension breaking thing. I've used it many times. It does work very, very well. You get it looking right. I'm going to put 1 or 2 more marks in here, and come in here with this dark. I'm going to put a dark line through there, and hopefully this is where I'm going to show you what I've been trying to show you. And dark around there, and you get the sense of that line that I've been trying to describe, like that. And you get a sense of the water, that fashion. Big dark over here as well, which comes down through there and off that way, and that finishes that off to the dark up here. Okay, so what I'm going to do with that now, just to finish off, is to put in that bluish line that I've been looking to do as well. I come in with some white. Sadly it's off camera again. A bit of blue, a little bit of ultramarine blue for that. Make it quite fluid. Take the worst off, and then just run that little line around here. So you got a dark, and now you got a light, and you get a sense of that little aspect of light. I'm not even sure what I'm trying to say really, but I know what I'm trying to do. It's just where the water is catching. So Just a little bit of attention to detail that just starts to make the whole thing a little bit more realistic. And there is a nice touch of it right there. A little bit out through there, like that. That works. And there's a little tap of light off there, which you can put in. And this one through here, very strong. So hopefully that will just describe really what I've been trying to do with this sort of funny extra line. I'm going to run it around the edges on some of them, like so. There's a little touch of light through there on that bit, and a little bit up around there, a bit there, a bit there. And I'm actually going to do one right at the base of the stem. There's a little tap there, a little tap there, and we've got that, just a little tap. I'm going to blend the bottom ones, just lose them a little bit. Okay, we are losing people fast now. Can't blame you. So I'm going to start to bring this to an end now, I think, because there's still work to be done, but I think that you have got quite a bit from it. At least I hope you have, I really do. Now, it's safe to say that you only see this line on bits of the thing that face you pretty much. When it's away from you, you don't see them. So really, if that is going to be one, it shouldn't be there. You're not going to see it at that point there. You're only going to see it on areas that actually face you. Like here, you're going to see it joins this one and it will go down into there. And this one will start to appear. It'll come round like so. Something like that. Okay, so where do we go from here? I think from the point of view of the stream, I'm quite happy to keep titting around with it and playing with it, but can you please show us this painting on Friday if it's dry? Yes, of course I will. I'd love to. I will work on it as time will allow me. And I will just play around with some of these green values. I think we've pretty much got them, but they can everything can be tweaked and played with and made, better or whatever, or worse, I suppose. I'm just going to inject a little bit more light into some of these greens, just to vary one or two of them. And this has got a lot of dark in here, but this leaf is very different because I brought one over the other. So this one actually should come over this one, to be fair. So I actually didn't have that working well at all. So this one will come over this one and through the top there, and I will play around with some of those greener values further on because there are some lights and darks in here that have been missed. So yes, I will show you this on Friday. And see what you think. Assuming if I don't get time this week to get it done, then I will show you on the very next stream after the item is completed. So don't worry, you will get to see the finished object. I just hope it's worthy of showing you, because there's so many things still to do with this, which I haven't actually addressed yet. Yes, you will do, Teresa. I will do that. Sorry if I haven't kept up with everybody's chit chat tonight. Meniscus, thank you, Ben. I knew someone would confirm what I've been trying to say very badly. Yes, I thought I put them in. Yes, I have put them in. But your comment must have been before I did that, I'm sure. But yes, I just love playing around with watery effects like this. So much fun. But it does take a little bit of time to make it work. Now, I just put one in there and I didn't need one in there at all, so I'll take that one back out. Some of them, like this, become fragmented, and there might be a little bit of something there, here and there, and it just fragments. You can see them, but they don't actually. You can have a little bit off there like so. Maybe a little bit on the edge of that one, and coming down into that little shape through there. So, okay, people, I think I've kept you all long enough. And so I will probably stop the stream about now. I hope it's not too bad. I know my lily doesn't look anything like the lily in the photograph. I can see that. And I seem to be buffering on the stream. I don't know why. Are we still here, everybody? Or is the stream frozen? Hopefully we're still there. It's had a little circle going on in it just now, so I'm assuming it was slowed up or buffering. So, yeah. Okay, well, we shall carry on for a little bit. It seems to be. Hang on. What's... Okay, yeah, I've got something going on. It says open widget or something. The stream health. No data's coming through. It's buffering. So why is that? Bear with me. I will see what's going on if I can. It's not OBS. I thought the OBS was causing problems again, but it's not the OBS. So, right, I don't know. It looks amazing. Thank you again. Thank you, Paul. Still streaming fine. Is just your end, I think. Yeah, just running slow once in a while. Okay. Well, it's telling me that it's a poor thing and no data. But if you're getting it, then that's fantastic. But anyway, I've enjoyed this. It's been quite a hefty one to do, but hopefully that I will be able to play around with a few parts of it before I see you next time. And as regards to next time, I'm not too sure what we're going to do as a watercolor, but I will figure something out. And yeah, we'll just go from there. And take that colour out there, not too sure of that after all. And goes out and put that light through to there. So it's a case of just playing around with it, basically. It seems that I'm back again, and it seems healthy. I don't know what happened, but I think, Ben, you're correct in what you're saying, that there's just a bit of buffering going on my end. It's not surprising. I probably need to borrow a shilling off of James to put in my meter. So we'll have a look at that situation. Right, I'm just playing around with one or two edges here. And I think we're going to probably call that a day. or not. I don't mind. I'm sitting there painting. It's you guys I'm thinking about. Yeah, Brown is gone. Bye bye, mate. Take care. Yeah, well, I'm going to go on until I'm talking to myself for a little while. Is our lady from Hawaii still watching? I don't know if you're still with us. Be nice to know if you are. Probably got tired. Gone for a breakfast. I think it was very early in the morning there. Right, so I'm going to put a few lights up in here into one or two of these areas up the back here, which have been largely forgotten. And a little bit of light into some of this too. Around on this part. Who's talking about Chris Lloyd? Not David Lloyd, Christopher. Yes. How about another scene from David Lloyd's house on for Friday? Yeah, I don't mind. But yes, Judy. So yeah. Hot chocolate time. Okay, Ben. Yeah, thank you very much, mate. I am going to call it a day, and thank you for sticking with it for so long. And hopefully we can have another look at this later on next time, and you'll have a better idea of how it all ended up. I'm just going to play around for a couple of seconds more, but I'm going to say goodnight to everybody and just keep painting for about another 5 minutes while everyone says their goodbyes and what have you, and then I hopefully see you all on Friday night for watercolour. And whether it's Great Dixter, we may do Great Dixter again, may not do it this week. We may do that another time and revisit it, and we may do it. I don't know, it just depends. We'll have a look and see what floats my boat, as it were. Okay, people, thank you very, very much. It is getting late. It's now 9:30, and so I'm getting tired. And this is the third painting that I've done today. So I'm going to say I'm going to go for a scotch, not a chocolate. Sorry, Ben. I need something a little stronger. But there you go. All right, people. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching. And if you are still there, any of you from abroad, thank you very much for joining us. And I do hope to see you again on another video as and when. We do 2 a week, one on a Friday, one on a Monday. One is always a watercolor, and the other one can be either an oil or some other medium, whichever we think about. But that all said, yeah, it's going to be I forget what day of the week. We're on Monday, aren't we? So Friday, watercolor night. Join me then at 7 o'clock GMT. Let me know you're there. That'll be fantastic. And yeah, sorry it's taken so long tonight, and I'm sorry we didn't get to the end of it. Michael, if you're still there, thank you very much for joining us. Very great of you to come along. Mark, the same to you. Who else have I missed? I've kind of missed everybody, I'm sure. James, thank you very much, mate. All the best to you. Did enjoy your last video. Gotta say, I haven't put a like on it yet, but I really did enjoy your last one. That was fun. Great one. And people are really loving what you're putting out there. So that's good. Derek, goodbye to you, mate. Thank you for joining us. See you Friday, I hope. I didn't see Sue on there tonight, but Sue, if you're there, hi and bye. Sorry about that. Brownie Johnson's already gone, I think. We're down to about 9 people, so I don't know who is left. 10 people. It keeps going up and down. like a seesaw. Yeah, I think we're down to about 8 now. Yeah, no, James, it was a great video, mate. You're getting too slick. Can you just come down here and do my videos for me? Because you're making a much better job of putting them together than I do. I don't know how you're doing it, but I'm pretty bad at that, I think. Bye, John. Thanks for dropping by, and hopefully I'll see you on Friday. It could be Dixter, it could be something else. We do not know. But hopefully it'll be something that you'll enjoy. Yeah. So I think this has got to pretty much rank as one of the longest ones we've done. I don't know who's left. Tracy, are you still there? Good evening to you and goodbye to you. I don't know if you're still there. You may be. I hope you are. Wendy, I know you're probably still there, so I've not said goodbye to you yet. But thank you very much for tuning in. I'm just seeing who else is still there. There's still 10 people on here, so I do want to not miss us 9 now. 10 down to 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But thank you ever so much, everybody. All right, I know Ben's gone. He's gone for his chocolate. Philistine. Shouldn't have chocolate. Keep you up all night. Okay, everybody. Well, I'm going to call it a day, and I'm going to go and get myself some refreshment, and I'll catch you all on Friday. Thank you very, very much once again for tuning in, and hopefully this does look a bit like a lily pond. We'll see. All right, guys. Take care. Catch you all very, very soon. Catch you all the next one. Enjoy. Have a great week, and I'll catch you all Friday. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.